Hey guys, you got Blaize here. No, I will not give you my real name. I like to use an alias. And with me is Dave.
Gilda?
It's been a long time since we've seen each other, actually. Just to clarify, I'm not a staff, but he is. And
I'm not a stick, I'm a support worker.
either way. But yeah, he's gonna. Dave here is gonna be my support for my podcasts because I have this nasty habit of not being very detailed with most of my topics, and I do tend to wander off topic sometimes too much. So yeah, Dave's gonna be a huge help in that for me. And as he's kindly agreed to do so. Anyway, welcome to Phoenix Podcasts. That's what I'm calling my section of it. And most of my podcast is going to be about covering the stuff, the social stuff, and the general things that are similar to that. I am not good with words right now, but I promise sometimes I am. So first up, I want to talk about hopefully some appealing ways everybody at home can reduce demand for income of items at grocery stores and other stores and stuff like that. Because a lot of people, I won't name names and I won't judge, whether we admit to ourselves or not, we do tend to consume more stuff than we need to, myself included. So don't think I'm leaving myself out in that. And some simple ways would be, even if it takes a long time to take effect, some simple ways to reduce demand would be to only buy as much as you need. Not to barely get by, but, less than some of us are getting at the moment. And this, in turn, will actually eventually cause the stores to stock less, which in turn would cause the suppliers to supply the stores less, which would affect the resources needed less. And that on its own would be a big help. And it's things like this that prove that it's the little tiny first steps we take that can cause the big changes.
So what specifically do you think your listeners might be able to cut down on?
Well, like I've said, food is an obvious choice, even though it's a touchy subject. In fact, just about anything is a touchy subject for anyone, myself included, when blame has to be laid. But who's to say blame actually has to be laid? It's as much out of habit as it is out of greed.
Yeah. And we've also been sold that lifestyle as well, aren't we?
Pretty much, yeah. It's a good thing that commercials that try to manipulate me actually annoy me rather than work on me. But either way, another huge benefit would be reducing waste and food being spoiled. So, yeah, take the small steps, guys. It doesn't matter how small. It all contributes to a big and positive change. Now, something else I want to talk about is actually a pretty big one, and it's a social aspect. We're all told when we're kids not to talk to strangers, and that's all well and good for safety. Believe me, when we're kids, we're still growing up, we're still learning about the world, and we don't really truly know fear, if we're being honest with ourselves back then at such a young age. But there comes a time where adjustments may have to be made or clarifications may have to be made in the first place, where you should say, don't talk to strangers unless you or your parents know they're safe to talk to. Because otherwise, how can you build bridges and make new friends? And sometimes it could be a big opportunity for your dream job or something. Believe me, I understand that could be a very rare case, but it doesn't hurt to hope.
Have you talked to a stranger and created an opportunity for yourself?
I am actually a very interesting case. While it's true that I'm an introvert, I'm actually what's known as a social introvert. And if we're being honest with ourselves, the different categories, I don't think there's any one category to an introvert. But my point is, being a social introvert, I have actually often been able to approach a stranger or someone I vaguely know, especially easily when I was a kid, when I was a little kid, that is. And just, I don't know, strike up a conversation, brief as it may be, or as indirect as the conversation may be as well. Because when you're a kid, you'll just say any old thing, won't you?
And why do we think we lose that childlike approach to forging relationships?
Well, I wouldn't call it peer pressure myself, but social pressure is probably a better term that comes to mind. As we get older, people expect you not to be so childish or innocent or whatever like that, and you feel expected to just get rid of all the things you used to enjoy as a kid. But I myself, even today, find joy in watching certain shows that are more for kids than adults, such as Adventure Time or SpongeBob SquarePants. So yeah, social expectations are actually, I just feel like they're more harmful than doing any good for anyone. If most people see an adult enjoying a kid's game or a kid's show or something like that, or music for kids or whatever, then they would just say that it's weird or that it shouldn't happen or whatever. But age is really nothing more than a number. Other than that, just do whatever the hell you want. And this isn't just limited to age appropriateness. It also extends to practices outside of our own cultures, which I find kind of criminal, the hate towards it or the distance towards it, because in my opinion, as long as it's not harming themselves or someone else, I say a culture's practice should be whatever they want it to be. So repurposing, of course, is like being artsy with plastic and other things that don't biodegrade well. If it's a reusable plastic container, I would have less issues with it. You could buy, say, a container to store stuff in and then put that in the fridge, and you can use that over and over again as long as you're not too rough with it. But also trying to use other containers besides plastic and other things that take a really long time to biodegrade. Apart from metal, if I'm aware, even though it takes a long time to biodegrade, it's nowhere near as bad as plastic or something like that. So with so much plastic and little else on display as containers and such, for people like us who only have Pack and Save and other budget stores as our options, how can we change these habits with such a low budget? Apart from repurposing plastic for projects and stuff like that, what we can do as a collective is to do our best to change our habits and buy food and drinks that are in other things besides plastic, like tins or glass bottles or containers and other such stuff. And on the other hand, If it's something like sandwich bags, I do find those convenient. I will not lie. However, I feel guilty using them because they're just use and throw away. Unfortunately, I can't think of anything that can take place of something like sandwich bags compared to storing something in a plastic container in the fridge for later. In any case, as I've said before, another really big step in the right direction would be to push for glass and tins to store liquids and foods in. Now, how we're going to push for that exactly, I mean, I don't know if petition is the right word, but it does come to mind. Like a poll or something. I guess that's up to the individual. Anyway, I guess that kind of is it for us for now. So this is Blaize saying for the both of us, all for one and one for all. Freedom fighters forever.